there are people who probably make a ton of money.
Absolutely.
Doing dance videos. And then, by the way, I do mortgage. And
Absolutely. We trade in attention. So it's like, how can I get your attention? How can I retain your attention? How can I give you something of value that helps you?
Welcome to Cabo. How's it been so far?
Amazing.
Yeah. What's your favorite part so far?
Just being with everybody.
Yeah.
Just like, having that time to talk about everything, like work, personal life, chill, all of it.
We don't get a whole lot of that. So busy doing all the other things. So yeah, I'm glad you're here. Before we get started, why don't you share with people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah.
And then how you got into mortgage.
Absolutely. So I'm Rebecca, obviously. I always tell people I have a lot of kids and a lot of dogs, so I don't have a lot of time. But I live right outside of Charlotte, and we have 4 kids. We're a blended family. So we've got ages from 16 to 28. So we've got a wide range of older kids, which is cool. And then, like I said, 5 dogs, so they keep me busy. But then I have been in mortgages since 2001 and got into it because I had worked for a financial planner in college, and I really liked the Rubik's Cube problem solving of it. And after college, when I graduated, the city that I moved to was not necessarily as the right market for how Chapel Hill was with financial planning. And so a realtor had helped us get a house and had come to check on us and said, how's everything going with the house? And I was like, it's great. But you have to get this house now. I need your help getting a job. So he's like, oh, okay. I thought you needed to maybe know what your trash day was or something that. So then essentially I went over and I was like, I would like to be a processor or a receptionist or whatever. So the owner of the company said, so you want a job that's, you don't know what you're doing? And I was like, yeah, I don't know what it is, but if you'll tell me what it is, I'll work hard and make you money. And he's like, have you thought about being an originator? What's that? Unlimited earning potential. I was like,
and also I don't have to pay you up front.
Exactly. He was
this
like,
is a no cost position unless you produce.
Exactly. It's like, I totally understand. He was like, I don't know, sink or swim. So I just joked that I basically got started here's some business cards and rate sheets. Don't hurt yourself. Yeah. And do your best. And I fell in love with it.
Yeah, it's wild, right? Yeah. I always say there's a certain type of person that does real well here. Yeah. You're either going to love it, you're going to hate it. You'll find out real quick. Right. It'll chew you up and spit you out if you're not ready for it.
Right.
But if you do get that, it's like you just get bit by the bug and you're just this is so good.
Yeah.
It's either so bad or so good and all at the same time.
Because it's you can absolutely get kicked in the teeth and then you come back the next day, you're like, okay, and I'm ready for more. There's a little bit this will not best me. I got this.
Battered woman syndrome, but you get paid very well for it. So.
Well, yeah, we don't want that. But yeah, I feel like there's certainly sometimes a toxic relationship with the industry. But that's what I feel like so many of us are trying to figure out how do we not do it that way? How do we maintain the love and the the excitement and the challenge of it and that fun that keeps us coming back without it absolutely chewing us up.
Yeah, without it draining your soul. Yeah. No, I'm there. And I think that happens through a process. You almost have to go through that first part of it draining your soul, then to be God, I really love it, but if we can get rid of this piece, and then how do I do that moving forward? Right.
Because you almost kind of have to get to that point where you're like, okay, this is breaking me, which sounds awful. But but it's so then it's, okay, I've tried it everybody else's way. What's my way? Yeah. How can I do it to make it work for me?
Yeah. What do you love about the business? And how do you do it your way that you're this is what I like to do?
I love that I feel like I make a tangible difference in somebody's life. Okay. First of all, from a professional standpoint, because buying my first house, it was a great financial decision, but it was very stressful and didn't know what was going on. And we were just really kind of left to the whims of whoever we were working with and hoping that they were trustworthy and they were leading us well, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. And so I like being able to be that person for someone else and guide them through, because I know how much, having a home. And so for some people, home means safety. It means security. It means, doing something that's never been done in their family. And for other people, it's okay, this is part of my financial plan. And so it's, how do we fit that into that larger picture? And all that is fun. And so I love that I feel like I actually make a difference in somebody's life in that way. They're making a major financial decision and they're making the right one that they feel confident with. And then personally, it's just the novelty of it because there's always something to like, there's always something new. There's always something that, you get to learn, or a challenge, or it's like a test. And it's that,
feeling of accomplishment. Like when you finally figure out like,
like it clicks. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, you just love that feeling.
Yeah. Who's your favorite client to help?
Somebody that values the wisdom and the perspective that I'm bringing to them. So there are a lot of different types of clients that I work with. So I work with veterans because that's how we were able to buy our first house. But so veterans, first-time home buyers from an education standpoint. But I really kind of at this point, sort of where I'm at in my life, I like that like move up, buyer. It's like, okay, yes, we bought the first home, but now we're buying and selling it the first time. Or maybe we're buying our first investment property. So there's a little bit of like baseline of understanding and experience and savvy there. But it's like, but still, they're like, but you do this every day and we're going to trust you. And I'm like, yes. So that's, and then separation and divorce, just simply because going through it, I like being able to be in that space and help women navigate that and help give them that a strong financial footing.
There's a huge gap of like needing, and especially that women that may have not have ever been taught financial acuity. I don't know what that's the word I'm looking for, but have like no idea. Like I have friends that have gone through divorces in their 40s and they're like, I just signed the papers. And I'm like, what? You were at home as a stay-at-home mom for like 15 years and you don't have spousal support? Like that there's a financial cost to being out of the workforce for so long.
Right.
And they're like, I don't even know how much money we had. I was, what? And it's like there are women like that then, how do I keep the house? How do I buy a house? Like no idea. And like in their 40s and being able to have a trusted advisor to help them through that is like so important.
Because it's almost, there's like a certain level of like embarrassment and shame. Sometimes they're like, oh, I should know this because I'm in my 40s or whatever. And like I've owned a home, and it's like, okay, but like in a marriage, a lot of times there's, it's like, this is my lane. Like I'm the CFO for our family, right? So it's like people come, like our family comes to me for the passwords and like, all that kind of stuff. And then my husband joins me in that and we make joint decisions. But it's like, there's always somebody taking the lead one way or the other. And if that isn't what you are handling in the, in the family, then it's kind of like, oh my gosh, like, and there's this fear of just making a bad decision. And it all comes together at a time of like stress and emotion and money and all of that. And it feels like that I'm able to, the whole thing about like the best person that you're equipped to help is who you used to be.
100%.
And so just being able to be like, hey, it's safe. I'm not going to talk down to you, like it helps to just be, again, kind of like another brick building that new foundation.
Yeah. You mentioned shame. And one thing I noticed about our industry, and I'm sure a lot of other industries, is leadership using shame to control, manipulate, that kind of thing. Like leadership via control versus leadership via influence, right? And so there's a big shift, I hope, happening in the marketplace. Of being able to influence people in a positive fashion instead of shaming them into getting to do what we want them to do. And I think when we do that with our clients too, it's really powerful. What kind of leader you like to be? Like, tell me about your leadership, because I know you have like a whole team.
I would say my leadership is I really enjoy building an environment where everyone gets to be at their highest and best. From standpoint, there's a book that I read recently within the past 6 months, I guess. I'd probably say like, a couple weeks ago, and it'd be like 3 months ago. Right?
I'm like, no concept of time.
I don't know. Time is irrelevant. But it's called Who Not How. And it talks about that, so often, like particularly as, if you have that entrepreneur mindset, if you have that growth mindset, then we think like, okay, we did X, Y, and Z to get us here. So I have to be the source of all the answers to get me to that next point. And it's like, no, you don't. You have to find the right person. You find the right person, then it's like, it's a win for them because they're like, oh, I can come in and I can step in and like absolutely take this and run with it, versus kind of the old school models. Like I have the ideas, I have to tell you down to like the nth degree what the steps are. And I just need like just mindless labor to do what I want. And it's like, no, but part of that is even getting to that point is then releasing control. And it's then there's a whole ego aspect to it and like all those kind of things. And some people aren't ready for that and some people are.
Yeah.
So I like to be a leader where somebody can step into that and it's like, hey, what's your superpower?
Yeah.
Because like, this is mine. What's yours?
Yeah, you're really good at that. Yeah. I remember you recommended that book to me. I think I got through like the forward and my brain was like, whoa.
Well, it's also hard because they start talking about like your who, because it's again, who, the person versus the how, like the method.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and you're, the person that can be a good who for you, you can be a who for them. And I'm like, this sounds like a Dr. Seuss book.
Yeah.
And then literally that was like the next line that he said was, he was like, this probably sounds like, a Dr. Seuss book. And I'm like, oh my God, get out of my brain.
Yeah.
But that's basically the gist of it. And it's fun because then it does feel more collaborative and it doesn't feel exploitive. Which has always been something for me, like with a team, is I always want to make sure that it's something that's really equitable and we all get to grow together versus it being like, do this for me, do that for me.
Yeah. And we're really limited too when we're really relying on our own capabilities and our own, there's a capacity that you hit.
Right.
And and I think a lot of people go through that. They're just like, gosh, there's just so much to do. And so being able to build teams, highlight teams, put them in the right places, all that kind of stuff is very important. You're also huge on like structure and your brain works and like
it does.
Which I'm like sometimes like, how are you in sales? Because you understand operations very well, where I don't understand operations at all. You have like really great both sides of that brain going on. Share with everybody, like, what's your process? What are your favorite tools to use? Those kinds of things.
So I am very much a process person because it's, like late diagnosed ADHD didn't realize that was what I was naturally kind of doing to save some of my brain power, like processing power, decision fatigue, all those things.
Yeah.
Because essentially I was given the advice, if you do something more than twice, you should have a process for it. And I'm like, got it. I will do that. I can do that because then I can just like run program 57 versus think, how do I respond to this email when an appraisal comes in low or something like that. So for my CRM, I use Follow Up Boss just because it's very helpful with my LOA to be able, we're seeing the same text, we see all the same notes. It stops kind of that like something being sent out of sequence or kind of out of context and allows just being able to, pick up and go right behind each other versus necessarily having then for the client's perspective that they're like, oh my gosh, I've got all these people. Like I reached out to work with Rebecca, but then I've got 3 other people behind the scenes.
And what's
like,
what and like,
Right. Because it's like, we know that that's what's going on, but from the client's perspective, they don't want to feel like that they're just being passed along, but there's a lot of roles involved. So I use that a lot. I use Trello as my planning board to plan out content so I can kind of get a sense of all the things I want to talk about, make sure that it's I'm hitting the topics that I want to talk about. I'm hitting the people that I want to talk to. So I use that. And then, our tech stack is our tech stack according to the company, but that's not as exciting. And then I use ChatGPT a lot for different purposes also to kind of like take off some of that decision fatigue. Yeah.
Dude, love an AI, by the way. If you guys aren't using AI, you need to get on that train. Let's also talk, because you have grown a following on social without like
being fake.
No, without
paying for
being
followers.
Oh, Rebecca. Like if you Google Rebecca Richardson, right, it'll be like one of the top mortgage influencers. If like that's even a thing, which is like
I know.
Wild.
Somebody posted, like a former coworker of mine texted that to me, and I was like, wait, what? Like,
what?
Okay.
Yeah, but you have an amazing following. You definitely have made a name for yourself in that market, and like. Yeah, one of the top mortgage influencers in the world. That's a wild. So share with people like how that got started. What are your limiting beliefs you had to overcome? How did you do that? Yeah.
A lot of it came, so I had joined a mortgage marketing kind of cohort in 2019 because coming out of 2018, I was just tired of giving all this effort, giving the value, proactive communication, thorough communication, doing a good pre-approval to make sure it didn't fall apart once it's under contract. And then a realtor being like, sorry, like thanks for jumping through the hoops for us on Saturday. Monday, all of a sudden their bank is open and then that's where they're going. Or like, you're awesome. We love you so much. Thanks for paying for my most recent event. And then I'm one of 3 names. And it's like,
one of 3. Like, when gave that advice?
When is all the thing all the things that I do going to be like enough? And so part of it, or what appealed to me with that cohort, was being able to move up earlier in the process. And so one of the things that I always talk about is like, so often we're competing for business at point of sale. You know, somebody needs a pre-approval or somebody's under contract and they're like, what's your rate? What's your price? Like how, you know, like how high can you jump essentially? And that doesn't feel good to my body. Like I don't like that. And so I believe in getting earlier in the process at point of thought. And using social is a great way to do that because, you know, there's so many different ways that we go. And regardless of kind of like what generation you fit into, it's like millennial mindset of like, I'm going to go and research something. I'm going to go research somebody essentially until I'm going to kind of DIY it until I get to the point that either A, I'm overwhelmed, or B, I don't really know how all this information that I have access to actually impacts me. And that's where there's that gap of going from knowledge to actually wisdom, because the difference is being able to know how to apply it to somebody's individual situation versus it just being like facts, right? And so through all of that, really started to lean into video because the brain registers video almost the same as being in person. It's like Temu. You know, it's like the knockoff version of in-person reaction. But like, that's why we think we know celebrities or like we're vested in their life because we're like, oh, we feel like we know them. And again, because I get a lot of kids, a lot of dogs, not a lot of time, I am always down for anything that's efficient. So being able to use social and do that one-to-many, be able to do social and be at that point of thought, it allowed me to not compete at the same point in the stage and really go earlier to build a relationship, to build a trust for a client, to reach out to me first. And then just expand it on to doing that on TikTok because Gary Vee said that if you had a small business, you should be on TikTok. It was late 2019. And it was a good vertical video editor. And I was like, all right, hook me up. Like I'm all for easy, like push the easy button. So I had my daughter show me how to use it. Right. I'm like, no, show me what button to push. Right. Don't sit by me, teenager. Like I see y'all doing all these dances and like all that kind of stuff. And I did some of those, but like I wasn't on there to dance, even though I was on the high school dance team. I did not really brush off those skills. I was like, man, I tried to learn Savage, but I couldn't like,
you know,
the brain power is gone. So it's just
social different. There are people who probably make a ton of money.
Absolutely.
Doing dance videos. And they're, by the way, I do mortgage. And
absolutely. I mean, all it is it's just, we trade in attention. So it's like, how can I get your attention? How can I retain your attention? How can I give you something of value that helps you? And so whether that's, you know, and it's, I think what's so helpful, particularly for complex subjects like mortgage, personal finance, those things that people don't do every day. Like they don't love math the way that we do. They don't like get excited to like find the solution and guidelines, is by being able to break it down into little bite-sized pieces. It, you know, our brains don't overload. Like, it's just like, here's how mortgage insurance works. Here's an option if this is the situation that you're facing personally. And then they can actually kind of build up that knowledge the way that we've learned it, which is a little tidbit at a time. And being that person that can meet them when maybe they haven't said out loud what they want to do, right? Like, I want to buy a house, or I want to buy an Airbnb, or I'm thinking maybe I might get a new job and move across country, right? They might not have even talked about that like with their partner or reached out to their financial planner or accountant or whatever, because it makes that more real. And they're like, I'm not quite ready yet, but they want to kind of try on and see what it's going to be like. It's so powerful to meet them at that space with something that's specific to what they're wanting to know. Yeah,
I really like it because like sometimes that hard part, I remember when I was first starting to get on social to build my business using it, was like, how do I take something that is honestly boring? Like, it's boring.
It's 30 years of debt. Hello.
Yeah, and it's not, you know, aesthetically pleasing.
Right.
How do I take that like that and like do that on social? Like, it's different if you're a real estate agent. Like, let me just show you pretty houses all the time, right? And like, but then what makes you different than the next person if you guys are just showing pretty houses? And so I love the ability to like take my uniqueness and be myself out on social. We do social very different. And then also that creativity that like fuels me, and then being able to create something online. And then, you know, I rarely even talk mortgage. It's crazy. I'm like, usually like, let me bare my heart and soul with you. And then, by the way, I do mortgage.
Like, by the way,
let me tell you my existential crisis I just had. And I can do your mortgage.
And if you want to invest in, you know, like you want to invest in real estate, I'm your girl, call me. At least like I'm letting it all hang out. You know what you're getting. And I think that's where it helps you build that trust, like that kind of like concept of WYSIWYG, like, what you see is what you get, is because for so many of us, either you grew up with, kind of like tech and social and all of that, or like those of us, we had an analog youth and then like a digital adulthood, but we've gotten fairly good at just kind of having that, like, I assume, can I curse?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I was like, what are we doing here? But I mean, it's like we have that bullshit meter, right? And so it's like 100%. People don't want that ad feeling. It's like when you walk, like you go to Lowe's because you need a special screwdriver or something, right? And like you walk in and they're like, can I help you? And they're going, no, I'm fine. And you keep walking because you're like, I don't want to be sold. I don't want to be like manipulated. I don't want to be pressured into something. And like we're all have like that kind of like resistance.
Yeah.
And by being just yourself,
you actually need help. You're like, no, I don't need help.
No, I'm fine. No. I have no clue. I have no clue where to find this obscure thing.
But I also don't want you to talk to me.
That's right. Like I will figure.
Which is why I like the self-checkout line, by the way, because then I don't have to have an interaction.
Look it up on my app. Like, okay, I'll be 13.
Right,
okay, got
100%.
it. But from that perspective, it's like, when you completely show up as your authentic self and you have that, there's no sheen, right? Yeah. It's just like, this is, I am who I am, right? It's a huge compliment when people call me and they're like, oh my gosh, like you're exactly how you are in your videos.
100%.
I'm like,
yeah. That's the goal. Yeah.
Because it's like, it does attract the people that you want to work with. And I think this is a hard part for people in sales or for people if they, have a scarcity mindset because they're like, oh, well, I might like not appeal to somebody.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Not everybody's your person.
That's a blessing.
That is okay because this work is hard enough.
Yeah.
Life can be hard enough. You should at least do it with people that you feel like you're making a difference for and that you enjoy working with.
100%. Yeah. I'm always like, it's a blessing to lose a client. I'm just like, just tell me earlier as opposed to later, please. I would really enjoy that. And anytime like one leaves, I'm just like, 2 more are coming. Right?
Yeah.
Bless me tenfold. And then create that vacuum because when you're filled with space, you don't have the ability to attract anything because everything's filled. And
right. Or you're just like in reaction mode. Versus actually being in the driver's seat and like, no, but intentionally like, this is the direction I want to go or this is what I want my business to look like or whatever.
Yeah. Along that, sometimes people like failure part, they like want to like not fail. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's where like, the magic happens though, because that's when we're innovating, right? When it like slows down, like when everything is working, we're not
motivated to grow.
No, it's like you don't get the great idea, right?
Yeah.
It's in that, failure downtime. It's like you're tinkering with it for like that new thing to come. So you have been incredibly helpful with Notorious.
Thank you.
You like on the board of directors that we don't have yet. You're on the board of directors.
The pre-board of directors?
The pre-board of directors. You're like my sounding board. If you guys don't know, Rebecca was like, hey, we're going to do like every other week meetings for Notorious. I'm like, yes, please schedule them. Like somebody please help.
Please don't let me step on your toes. But,
I know.
but like, can I create some order?
Can I create some like systems? And I'm like, please do. So where do you see this going?
I think it fills a gap that so many of us, particularly women, are missing. Like we were talking about this last night I think COVID broke community, right? Like, I'm fine working from home. It's great. I can, eat lunch in my kitchen. I can manage my own day. I don't have to get up and get ready and like get in a car and do all that anymore. Yeah. But it can be very isolating. And this 100%. Is very much a collaborative type job, and we are a collaborative type people. We're meant to be in community.
Yep.
And what was so special to me, like, and I know you heard this from multiple people, like when we had the event in Austin, I was like, I really feel like that healed something in me that like I didn't realize was broken or that it was missing.
Yeah.
Because it's special to be able to go into a space with other women and be our, full, like ambitious, badass like selves, but then also be able to be tender and soft and be like, Cheryl was helping her daughter get ready for her dance recital. And I was just like, that's so cool that you're showing her like that you're available, even if you're not physically there, but then how you can also chase after your things and fill your cup while also, still being there for her. And it's just nice to be able to share that with other women. Like you always say, like have other women to run with.
Yeah.
And it's something that's different because for so much of my career, I would be the only woman on the, like
all male sales team. Yeah.
You know, the panel or the top performers, you know, trip or whatever, or feeling like I need to, what does that say? And that's basically like you're supposed to work like you don't have kids and have kids like you don't work, you know, and it's just like this intense pressure to keep all those plates spinning and all the things working while not losing yourself, while still showing up for what matters the most. And it's been really healing to be able to share that with other women. And so where I see it going is being able to have that ripple effect, and that ripple effect of love and collaboration and community and connectedness. And then just have that, it's like what that old like, hair ad where it's like, and she told two friends and she told two friends, right? But it's that goodness, it's paying it forward. So yeah, I'm very excited and appreciate the opportunity to participate in your vision, you know?
No, you've been so helpful. Part of it too is like, one, being able to have other women like we identify with, we live very much the same life. And not everybody lives this life. And so sometimes for me, it's really difficult to connect with people. So having, because
even like my close girlfriends, like sometimes explaining that, they're like, that sounds really stressful. And it's like, it is. And I love it.
And I love it.
Yeah. You know? And they're like, okay.
Yeah, it's like kindred spirit without you even saying anything. You're like, I got you. I know exactly who you are. And I know exactly what you're dealing with. And then having people that, you can run with, like your hype squad. And like, sometimes that's hard to find, like people that aren't
threatened by that.
Yeah. Like there are some circles where I was like, I had a really great personal year last year, GC, like in gross commission income, like and I was like, I didn't even want to like share that.
Right.
You know, because I was like, is that going to like who can I share that I like grossed over 3? Like that's a lot of money. Yes. And trust me though, that I might have grossed that, but it costs a lot of money to run the business. So
like don't get me wrong.
Don't think I'm too high for my bridges.
But it is one of those things where people will be like, oh, must be nice.
Yeah,
and it's
good
like,
for you.
It is nice, but I have worked for it.
Yeah.
Right. Versus being like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like,
like take your victory lap and they're like, that want to like celebrate you. Right?
Well, I heard this and it's like, it's been something like, okay, like I kind of keep it rolling around in my brain until it becomes, like integrated, but it's not bragging if it's true.
Yeah.
And I think so often that we've been used to like, minimize it because it's like, don't want to be this, don't want to be a braggart, don't want to be like,
which
who
is
does
why
she think
we
that
need
she
women's
is?
Groups. Because I don't think men have these I don't think a man's like, oh, I'm bragging. I'm like, I see your post.
They're like, no, I crushed it. I'm an alpha.
100%, right? And that's so, like, in our society, it's okay for you to be like, oh, look at me as a male. But as a female, it's like, you're not supposed to do that. That's not polite. That's not, you have to be modest. Like, all that kind of stuff.
There was a great podcast I listened to that it had, I think, the dean of students at Wharton, and she was talking about specifically like women in finance, because it's like, if you're a woman in finance or just working in finance in general, you're kind of like, you're essentially subtly saying like, I like money. Like, I like working with, and it's like, oh, but that's not polite.
Yeah.
That's not feminine. That's not, okay, that's too aggressive. That's too whatever. And it's like, okay, but is it if I'm doing it in a different way?
Yeah.
Like if I'm doing it with integrity, if I'm doing it with empathy, like.
It's all energy, then it has to like challenge like the way that we view money and like all of that, right? Yeah. I really try to push it in my branding. I think sometimes probably too much, but also see myself sometimes as like, when you're like the leader, you're the one that has to go the furthest so that other people can just go to their possible potential. Like, so I'm not overdo it sometimes. Like, I hope we're going to do it this time. I brought like $1,100 fake bills.
For the money gun?
Yeah. No, I didn't bring money. I did money gun before. I need to do another money gun, but I want to do one like in a bathtub.
Oh, yeah.
And I know it's over the top. You're like, silly.
Look, I know I'm being extra. I embrace it.
I know.
It is all right.
But it's so fun.
At least I'm self-aware.
Yeah. I know this is silly. Like,
it makes me laugh. It's my thing. Give me a break.
I love it. All right. Where's Rebecca want to be in 5 years?
A life of ease, abundance, and joy, like last night. But I mean, it's I'm really at the point. I still love working for my clients and helping my clients, but it's like, I've been doing this for a long time. So I feel like that there's so many scenarios that I know how to do. And so it's just work. It's not the like fun of the novelty of figuring it out. And where I really feel pulled and what I enjoy doing is more of the like the coaching, the consulting, the speaking, because it's like, look, this has helped me so much. I want it to help you. You know, I'm not a gatekeeper. Like, I'll show you my full, like, you know, behind the scenes, any process, anything, because it's like, I equate it to finding a really great dress on sale that has, and then you're like, and it has pockets, right?
I got it at Target, like,
right? And like, I got it, like, oh my God, and I had a coupon, you know, like all that kind of stuff. And it's just like that excitement of like, it's like a discovery thing, like Eureka, like here, this is the coolest thing, like take this, like, and use it. So I love opportunities that are leaning more towards that, because then that way I feel like I can take all this experience and all the skin knees and the like, the blood, sweat, and tears and all this stuff. And it's like, let me at least pass it on so it helps you to integrate it in whatever way that works for you, and you don't have to figure it out the hard way, that way that I did.
Yeah, that's why I love building Notorious. It's like, well, sure, could I just like do loans and get paid? Yeah, but that's just like my bank account that benefits. And so what are those other ways in my life that I can amplify this, right? And it's through things like Notorious, and, you know, not everybody can travel on a Wednesday, right? Or having more girlfriends that can do that and do this lifestyle with. Between that and then my sister and I are fundraising for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society right now. And it's like being able to use the platforms that we've built online for more than just business. Bank account, right?
Absolutely.
My personal bank account. Like if I can help you build your bank account, then you really have a big effect on like the world at large. So yay. Well, thank you for being here today. I love this talk. Thank you for being in my life.
Love you.
And all your help. I love it. You guys go follow Rebecca on all platforms. Mortgage.mentor.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Mortgage Mentor everywhere.
Yeah. The Mortgage Mentor everywhere. She's incredible. You guys will love her. And then follow Notorious WMN across all platforms. And notoriouswmn.com.
Hey, gorgeous, notorious women of mortgage. I'm Terry Davis, VP of Product at Cotality, previously known as CoreLogic. I wanted to make you aware that we have some great solutions for mortgage originators that will help you differentiate yourselves in your market. Whether you're looking to find out if anyone in your database is out home shopping before the competition, you're looking to strengthen client relationships, you want to enhance your referral network, or just stay informed, Cotality has a single platform with a multitude of solutions that serve you, your real estate agent partners, and your customers. If you're interested in a free consultation, give me a shout. My email is tedavis@cotality.com. Really looking forward to working with you all in 2025 and beyond. See you soon.